most important animals in the form of the Amphioxus or Branchiostoma. Branchiostomas are the member of protochordates. So first of all, we focus on to the what are the protochordates and what are their distinguishing characters which is observed in their body. And on which characters we kept into the chordates. So friends, chordates are those animals they are having the distinguishing characters in the form of the notochords. Notochord is the very important anatomical structure which is observed in the chordata. So it is a longitudinal rod-like that is made up of the cartilaginous and runs between the nerve cord and the digestive tracts. And its main function is to support the nerve cords. In vertebrates animals, the vertebral column replaces the notochord. So notochord is the important distinguishing character which is observed in case of the chordata, particularly in case of the protochordata. They are present in the certain stages of life. Okay, that is the larval stages or the adult stages, and these notochord supports the body, or they also support the nerve cord which is present in the body of the vertebrate animals. The vertebral column replaces the notochords. Okay. Vertebral column replaces the notochord in case of the chordata. Now, dorsal tubular nerve cords. This is the another distinguishing characters or anatomical structure which is observed in case of the chordates, and this is a bundle of nerve fiber which connect the brain to the muscles and the other organs in the body of animals. So the nervous coordination which is takes place due to the dorsal tubular nerve cords in case of the vertebrate species or the chordates. Now post-anal tail, which is also the another distinguishing character which is observed in case of the chordates. Now this is an extension of the body beyond the anus. In some chordates, the tail has a skeletal muscles which help in the locomotions. So tail in case of the chordates help to them for the locomotion and the balancing of the body. Then another most distinguishing anatomical features observed in case of the chordates are nothing but the pharyngeal slits. They are also known as the pharyngeal gill slits. They are the opening which connect the mouth and the throat. These openings allow the entry of water through the mouth without entering the digestive system. Okay. So these pharyngeal gill slits actually they are involved in the respiration in case of the chordatus species, and there is having the separate openings for the water in the pharyngeal cavities, so the animal get respired with the help of the pharyngeal gill slits by utilizing the dissolved oxygen which is present in the water. Now friends, as we know that the chordates are the important animals which is observed on the planet, then they are sorry for disturbance. So friends, when our intention is to study about the animals, at that time we study the animals on the basis of their identification and classifications. Identifications of the animals which is based on to their distinguishing characters, and on the basis of their distinguishing characters the animals they are classified into the different groups. So in the earlier semester you peoples already known about the non-chordates animals, and the non-chordates animals they are classified into the 10 major phylum. They are nothing but the phylum Protozoa, phylum Porifera, phylum Coelenterata, phylum there is a helminths, that is the platyhelminths and the aschelminths, then Annelida, Arthropoda, then phylum Mollusca, phylum Echinodermata and phylum Hemichordata. So these are the 10 major phyla, they are included into the non-chordata, and here in this semester you people study about the chordata, that is the diversity of life, that is the chordata. Then chordata further classified into the 2 subgroups on the basis of the distinguishing characters or the morphological and anatomical features which is observed in their body, that is the Ocraniata and Craniata. Ocraniata and Craniata. As we are already known that in the animals there is a having the nervous system, and the nervous system in case of the animals, in the most of the animals, get protected by the, that is the cranium or the brain box. But the brain box they are not present in all animals. So on the basis of this, the chordates they are broadly classified into the 2 subgroups. One is known as the Ocraniata or Protochordata, and another one is the Craniata or Vertebrata. In case of the Craniata, there is not having the brain box or the cranium. Then in case of the Craniata, there is a well developed brain box is present, and this cranium protect the brain from mechanical injuries. So on the basis of these distinguishing character, what characters? Presence of the brain box or the cranium. In case of the Protochordata, there is a total absence of the brain box, whereas in case of the Vertebrata, there is having the well developed brain box. Okay, so in case of the Protochordata, no brain box or the cranium. Then in this case, they are having the notochord, and this notochord may persist throughout the life and is not replaced by the vertebral column. This is the another most distinguishing character which is observed in case of the Protochordata. That is, notochord may persist throughout the life and is not replaced by the vertebral column. Whereas in case of the craniata or vertebrata, the notochord is replaced by the vertebral column. So on the basis of these distinguishing characters, the chordata, they are broadly classified into the two subgroups, that is the acraniata or protochordata and craniata or vertebrata. Okay, so friends, Protochordata, they are again further classified into the two subphylum. They are nothing but the Urochordata and Cephalochordata. Friends, you are already known that in case of the Protochordata, notochord remain persist throughout their life. Okay, so on the basis of the position of notochord in the body of animals, the protochordate, they are again divided into the two subphylum, that is the Urochordata and Cephalochordata. Now in case of the Urochordata, for example, there is a Herdmania, and in case of the Herdmania, the notochord present in the larval form in their tail region. Adult of these Urochordata does not have the notochord, whereas in case of the Cephalochordata, notochord, they are present, that is the notochord is present in the cephalic region or the head regions, and it continues toward the tail. It continues toward the tail. For example, the Branchiostoma or the Amphioxus. Branchiostoma or the Amphioxus. So in this semester, you people study about the member of Cephalochordata in the form of the Amphioxus. They are also known as the Branchiostoma. Okay, so we will focus on to these Branchiostoma in details. Okay, now look here, the vertebrata, they are again further divided into the two subphylum on the basis of another distinguishing characters, that is presence of the morphological characters or the anatomical characters in the form of the jaws. Now in case of the Agnatha, there is not having the upper and lower jaws, they just have the suctorial mouth. Then in case of the Gnathostomata, there is having the both upper and lower jaws. Now the Gnathostomata, they are further divided into the two superclasses. They are known as the Pisces and Tetrapoda. Then the Agnatha further classified into the two classes, that is the Ostracodermi and the Cyclostomata. Now the two superclasses of the Gnathostomata are nothing but the Pisces and Tetrapoda. Okay, now the Pisces further classified into the three main classes. They are nothing but the Placodermi, Chondrichthyes, Osteichthyes. Then Tetrapoda further classified into the four important classes, that is the Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammalia. These are the four important classes. They are included into the superclass Tetrapoda. Okay, then here we observed the actual live animals by using the app YouTube's. Here I am giving the link for these animals. Oh, the speed of net is very slow. Please wait. Just wait. Now in this semester we study about the type of animals, that is the Amphioxus, which is included in the unit number first. The Amphioxus are nothing but the burrowing animals. They are actually inhabitant in the seashores. They are the burrowing animals. They make the burrow and hidden underneath the burrow. Then these animals, they are having the ability to move by the muscular contraction. So here in this case there is a having the myotomes, that is the muscles, and these muscles help to them for the propulsions of the body. My net speed is very slow, sorry for this. There is also disturbances in my system, that is in the laptop. YouTube. YouTube.com. Go to the YouTube. Then after opening YouTube, go to the search box. In the search, just type Amphioxus. such type of window will be opened in front of you.
Studying the DNA of ancient organisms is a window into our distant past. And if you look hard enough, you can find some creatures today that haven't changed much in hundreds of millions of years. This coast is home to a relative that shows us how ancient the genetic recipe is for building our brain.
Yeah, how do you know where to look? Well, I certainly want to go deeper than this.
Meet Peter Holland, head of zoology at Oxford University in England.
Right, okay. Well, we could start trying around here.
X marks the spot?
X marks the spot. Let's give it a go.
Right. Okay, so what do I do here?
Just shake it. You got one. There's an Amphioxus.
We got it. Whoa, look at that little guy go. Hey!
Just dip it in the water again. You'll see it. It'll flick around.
Well, they really flick.
I see. There it is.
Hey, that's beautiful. Look at that. Which is the front?
It doesn't look like much, but this tiny creature, called Amphioxus, has much to tell us about our own brains.
That is cool. Okay, that ranks is cool.
Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these.
So I brought this from the anatomy lab in Chicago. This is a human brain. And when I look at this, I don't find any obvious similarities to that.
Deep in the genes of this animal and the development of this animal, and deep in the genes of us and the development of us, there are the similarities.
So if you just take a look at that, he's just moved.
Oh, he
They're
twitched
pretty
away.
active.
Yeah, he's
They're
wow.
pretty active.
Holy cow. Oh, that is beautiful. God, they're so clear too. You can see right through them. Yeah, it's amazing.
Amphioxus lives in the sand of the ocean floor, filtering algae out of the water. They have a simple nerve cord that runs the length of the body, which ends with a tiny swelling invisible to the naked eye.
If you look at the front end of this animal, you don't see it all expanded into a large skull or brain region. It's just pointed.
We might not have similar brains, but what we do have are similar genes. To make the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, you need a series of control genes to tell the cells within the developing brain where they are. They map out the brain's 3 basic regions. Versions of the same master genes that help form our own brains are also active in Amphioxus, but here they're simply building the primitive nerve cord and the tiny swelling at its front. This means that the genetic roots of our own brains can be seen in creatures that first arose over 500 million years ago.
I think it gives us a glimpse into where our brains came from, into the basic organization of the brain of our ancestors.
I mean, I find that mind-blowing.
He's jumped off, guys. Sorry.
He's going.
We have an
to
escapee,
Colorado.
sorry.
He's going land living. He's going rogue.
Yep, he's gone for the next transition.
Exactly. He's in the Devonian now.
I will just show you here is the diagrammatic presentation in this video, and in this video we clearly understood
All the characteristic features of early chordates can be observed in modern cephalochordates, such as the lancelet. The axial skeleton of the lancelet consists of a notochord, which persists throughout life.
red part of the body.
Above the notochord lies the nerve cord, which expands into a brain vesicle at the anterior tip of the body. The wall of the pharynx is perforated by many gill slits, about 170 to 180 pairs.
That is the gill of
These form a gill basket, where gas exchange takes place and food particles are filtered from the water. The single circulatory system of the lancelet is closed. There is no heart. The excretory system consists of protonephridia.
Okay, so here is the live demonstration of the protocol data, that is the Amphioxus. Then again we come back to our original presentation. Okay. Technical issues. My God. There is a lot of disturbances. These are the disadvantage of online teaching. Okay, so let's we see about the type of animals in the form of the Amphioxus. Now Amphioxus, they are systematically studies here, and the systematical study are nothing but the first identify the animals on the basis of their distinguishing characters and classify to them with the help of the classification key. And in this semester you people classify the animals up to the genus level. In the semester first you study about the animals, and in this semester you study of the animals up to the class. Okay, but here the depth of the study get increased. Okay, so here the phylum Chordata. Why they are Chordata? Because in case of the Amphioxus, the notochord persists throughout their life, so that they are the protochordate. Then the notochord is present in the head region, therefore they are belonging to the subphylum Cephalochordata. Then here there is a class Leptochordae, there is a having the branchial chambers. Okay, then order is Amphioxiformes, and the genus is the Amphioxus, and the species is the Lanceolatum. Okay, this is the classifications, systematic classification of these animals. Now Amphioxus possesses typical chordate characters, that is the schematic view of Amphioxus basic anatomy. The most important morphological characters are depicted. These include the dorsal hollow tubular nerve cords, then the dorsal notochord, that is the red, the ventral gut, that is the green, and the segmented gonads, that is the branchiostoma lanceolatum. Adult individuals collected from the Raccourci in the France, the oral cirri, the segmented gonads and muscles and the anus are labeled. Okay, so a cementeron lichen in adult individuals collected in the pharyngeal gill slits, segmented muscles and anus are labeled. In all three images, anterior is towards the left and dorsal is towards the top. Okay, here in this diagrammatic presentation we just clearly understood the position of the notochord, nerve cord, then branchial chamber by observing to them. This is the anterior most end of the body, then here is the posterior most end of the body, then here there is a, at the anterior most end there is a having the head, and below the head region there is a oral cirri are present. These oral cirri, they are act as a filter feeding, and these cover the mouth in case of the Amphioxus. Then here there is having the frontal eyes at the anterior most region. Then here there is having the knob-like structure, that is the nerve cords. Okay, then below the nerve cord there is a, that is a straight cartilaginous or the supporting structure, that is known as the notochord. It runs from anterior to the posterior most end of the body in case of the Amphioxus. Okay, now here is the gut, that is the alimentary canal of these animals. Now at the anterior most end of the body there is having the large chamber, that is known as the pharyngeal chamber, and in the pharyngeal chamber there is having the pharyngeal gill slits. Then here there is a segmented gonad which is present. We will see it one by one. Okay, now lancelets, they are also known as, that is Amphioxus also known as the lancelets. Okay, now it comprises 32 species of fish-like marine chordates in the order Amphioxiformes, with a global distribution in shallow temperature as the north as Scotland, and the tropical seas usually found half buried in the sand, that is they are the burrowing animals. They are the modern representative of the subphylum Cephalochordata, formerly thought to be the sister group of the craniates. In Asia, they are the harvested commercially as food for the human beings. Okay, they are rich protein in content, so that these animals also utilized as a food material in domesticated animals. They are an important objects of study in zoology, as they provide the indication about the evolutionary origins of the vertebrates. Lancelet serves as an intriguing comparison point for tracing how vertebrates have evolved and adapted. Although lancelets split from vertebrates more than 520 million years ago, their genomes holds clues about the evolution, particularly how vertebrates have employed old genes for new functions. They are regarded as the similar to the archaeopteryl vertebrate forms. Now, habits and habitat of the If our intention is to study about the animals at that time, we must understood their habits and habitats, where they are occurred, where they are live. Now Branchiostoma live both in marine estuaries habitats according to the Azarias 1965, Raj and Azaria 1967. It is commonly found in the sandy shores. It lies in the dilute seawater between 15.4% and 33.1% salinities. Different species may show different degrees of tolerance to salinity changes. Wave and Hills 1958 reported that the lower threshold salinity for adult that is Webb and Hill 1958 reported that a lower threshold salinity for adult Branchiostoma nigerins is 13%. Branchiostoma lanceolatum is mostly marine in its distribution, and Stenolines, that is the animal, restricted to a narrow range of environment salt concentration. In its behavior, the limits of salinity tolerance in seawater is 34% according to the Azarias 1967. As we are already known that salinity is the physico-chemical parameters which can be measured by analyzing the salt percentage in the water bodies, and we are already known that in the seawater there is having the more salt concentration, and these impart the salinity of sea waters. So now these animals, that is the Amphioxus, they are inhabitant in the saline water, that is the more salinity waters or the sea water. They are inhabitant at the seashores. They are the burrowing animals. Now it leads a dual life. It is a sedentary animal, although it can swim actively in water. It swims vertically in water. Sedentary means they are freely swim in the water body. Branchiostoma can swim in water like fish. Swimming is done by way of contraction originate from the anterior end of the body and passing down the longitudinal muscles. Earlier I told you that the movement in case of the Amphioxus takes place by the muscle contraction. That is the way of muscle contraction is nothing but the longitudinal muscle contraction which is observed here in case of the Amphioxus. During this process, each myotome contracts after its anterior one. The wave of contraction passes alternately along the left and right side of the body. Such waves produce a side-to-side bending of the body for forward propulsions. The animal swims spirally about its central axis. The notochord with its limited elasticity acts as the lever upon which the muscle works. The notochord also resists shortening of the body during the muscular contraction. The fins do not play any role during the swimming. It burrows in the sand but remains always at a small depth. It keeps anterior end of the body project above the sandy bed to maintain a constant water current passing in through the mouth and expelled through the arteriopore. Branchiostoma feeds on the microorganism brought into the pharyngeal cavity together with the respiratory water currents. It exhibits the typical instance of the ciliary mode of feeding, that is the filter feeding is observed in case of the Branchiostoma or the Amphioxus. Now we will focus on to their external morphological features. Now the body of the Amphioxus becomes fish like, but it is not a fish. Okay, there is having the two end, that is the anterior end of the body and the posterior end of the body. At the anterior most end of the body there is a having the head region, and at the posterior most end of the body there is a having the tail region. The body becomes elongated. Okay, now at the anterior most end of the body there is a having the flagellated pits, which is present at the anterior most end of the body. Okay, these flagellated pits help to them for the digging the sands, okay, or the burrowing of the sands. Now here the notochord protect these part of the body. Okay, now here at the anterior most end of the body there is a having the pigmented spots is in the form of the, now pigmented spot is present here. Then here there is a having the Hatschek's pits. Okay, then here at the anterior most end of the body there is a having the oral hoods. Okay, these oral hoods guarded by the oral cirri, and these oral cirri having the ability to filter feedings. Then here there is a having the will organs. Then they are internally having the velar tentacles. Okay, then from the anterior most end of the body notochord is running. Okay, that is the elongated structure which is observed here, and they run continuously throughout the tail, throughout the body, and reaches up to the tail. Then it protects the soft structure, that is the nerve cords. Okay, now here there is a having the peripharyngeal bands. There is a numerous peripharyngeal bands, and here inside the peripharyngeal bands there is a having the peripharyngeal grooves, and in the peripharyngeal grooves there is a having the pharyngeal gill slits. These pharyngeal gill slits, they are act as a respiratory organs. Then they are enclosed in the particular anatomical structure that is known as branchial chamber. That is the complete are known as the branchial chamber. Okay, so here there is a water get entered from the body, that is anterior most end of the body, and here there is a filter feeding which takes place. Then from the oral hood they are entered into buccal cavity. There is a buccal cavity, there is having the velar organs, and there is a filter feeding which takes place. Then from these, that is the microorganism, they are entered into the guts. Okay, then the water get entered inside the pharyngeal chamber, and in the pharyngeal chamber there is having the, that is the pharyngeal gill slits. So whatever the oxygen they are present in the water, they get diffused, and excess water get expelled outside the body with the help of the arteriopods. Okay, now below the snout lies the oral hoods in case of the Amphioxus, formed by the dorsal and lateral projection of the body. The oral hood bears more than 20 stiff buccal or oral cirri or tentacles. These are the oral cirri or the buccal tentacles. The oral hood is supported internally by a series of gelatinous but stiff pieces arranged end to ends. Okay, here They get supported by the gelatinous materials. Each oral serous supported internally by a stiff rods that emerge from the oral rings. The mouth is kept hidden within the oral hoods. Then the anus situated on the left side of the ventral fin and at a short distance cephalad from the posterior end of the body. Here is the anus, which is located to the posterior most end of the body. Okay. Then the atrium opens. Now complete is this complete chamber is known as the atrium. Opens to the exterior through the round atriopore located close to the anterior end of the ventral fin. Okay. Now here there is having the atrial chamber get opens here with the small openings, that is known as the atriopores, which is just at the base of the ventral fins. These are the ventral bones. Okay. Then anterior portion of the body is roughly triangular in outline, while the posterior part behind the atriopore is more or less oval in cross section. On the lateral side of the body proper there are numerous gill slits which remain partly covered by the lateral folds of the body. Here is the lateral folds of the body. Okay. Then they encloses the pharyngeal gill slits. As a result, gill slits are not ordinarily seen from outside. The body is provided with the median longitudinal folds called the dorsal fin, which extend along with the whole of the dorsal side. The dorsal fin is joining to the somewhat broader caudal fin and the atriopore. The dorsal and ventral fins are supported by the series of connective tissues called the fin rays. Okay. Here is the dorsal fins and they get supported by the fin rays, dorsal fin rays, ventral fin rays and caudal fins. These are the three important fin which is observed in case of the Amphioxus, and they get supported by the fin rays. Now the metapleural folds do not participate in the process of swimming. They possibly help the animals burrowing in some instance. During the process of burrowing, the metapleural folds becomes distant with the contained lymph in the cavities and thus assist in rapid drive into the sands. Here is the metapleural folds, and these metapleural folds help to then for the burrowing the sands in case of the Amphioxus. The paired fins are absent in case of the Amphioxus, but there is having the unpaired fins. Paired fins are nothing but the pectoral fins, but the pectoral fins they are not observed in case of the Amphioxus, but there is having the unpaired fins in the form of the dorsal fins, caudal fins and the ventral fins, which is present on their body. Okay. The paired fins are absent, but the metapleural folds often homologize lateral fin folds from which the vertebrae